What's up YouTube, PokePrimer here, primed and ready to deliver you our Week 2 battle here in the BTA Season 8. This week we are taking on Pantros and the Williamsburg Whimsicotts. If you guys saw the team builder from yesterday, we went over the team that we brought. We have the Mega Absol, the Volcanion, the Amoonguss, Licky, Zygarde, and SYLVEON, as he decided to bring the Crocodile, Grimmsnarl, Minior, Mega Manectric, Lurantis, and Toxapex. So out of his team, 4 out of 6 I was you know, kind of expecting to come. Crocodile because we're still pretty ground weak. Grimmsnarl for screens for his setup mons. Mega Manectric because it's his Mega, why not? And Toxapex because it's such a Gloomon. Did not expect Lurantis. I don't really think it's that great of a Pokemon. So we'll see what it decides to do here in this game and what its goal here is. I'm still really surprised that it showed up, but hey, to each their own. And Minior is horribly terrifying because I realize it has an insanely good matchup against me, and I am terrified. So I'm going to go right ahead and hop into this one. I'm going to lead with SYLVEON as he leads with the Grimmsnarl. Right off the bat, I'm just going to click Hyper Voice as he T-Waves me turn 1, which is indeed going to come into play later in the game. I promise you that. We see that he's max Spadef, so I'm just going to go for a sub here, expecting him to try to set up both the screens, but seeing me behind the sub, he's not going to let that happen, which is smart on his part. So he's going to go ahead for the Spirit Break and break my sub as I kill him with the Hyper Voice. And he goes straight off into the Minior, and I'm immediately like frantically calcing to see if I can live hits. And I see that Licky and Zygarde can both live hits from this thing once it sets up. And my mindset is, okay, we can take the hit. Which one is going to be able to provide the most while taking that hit? And that would be Zygarde, because we do have the Dragon Tail this week. We brought Dragon Tail as a way of dealing with Haxorus. Because I didn't want to be locking into like Outrage when he has something like Grimmsnarl around, which I figured he would preserve more if he had his other setup threats like Volcarona and Haxorus, which I was so happy not to see, by the way. Happy and annoyed because I had specific prep for those mons because I figured they were pretty much no-brainers to bring, but he didn't bring them, so fuck me, I guess. Excuse me. So I'm going to go hard into Zygarde here, and he is indeed going to set up right away, which works out kind of well for me because he's in his weaker form. He's in the Meteor form, so he only has base 60 attack. It still does 64%. If he had crit us, he had a chance to kill us, so that would have been really bad, but we are able to hit the Dragon Tail and bring out the Toxapex. Now, I don't want to stay in here and potentially get burned, so I'm just going to go SYLVEON as he reveals the Ice Beam. So Zygarde, no safe to bring in on Toxapex, ever. Good to know. I'm going to set up a sub, though, because that's SYLVEON's whole purpose against this thing. I'm going to set the Wish up here, because why not? I figured Amoonguss would be the safest thing to bring in on this thing, because it pretty much walls most of what it can do, physical or special. So we're able to get the Wish back here as he goes with the Superpower. He shows the Psycho Cut, which is annoying because now we are in range of a crit Psycho Cut, and Psycho Cut is a high crit move, and that is very much not exciting to deal with. And with the Sludge Bomb damage, we do reveal that he is indeed a max HP Assault Vest, I believe, is what the calc showed. So that's also pretty annoying because I don't particularly want to deal with that. It takes hits a lot better. So on this turn I was debating a lot between like chancing the Psycho Cut crit or trying to go into something that can like handle the Psycho Cut appropriately and maybe like switch around to try to not only give Amoonguss some much needed recovery with Regenerator, but to kind of just toy around with this thing a little bit. I do decide to I'm going to swap here go into our Volcanion, as he actually decides to go for the superpower here, which makes complete sense. If I had stayed in with Amoonguss, that would have been a bad play, because obviously, like it was a bad play to stay in. But if I had made that play, like predicting him to over predict a little bit, I would be able to go for another Sludge Bomb, get another like 30, like high 30s, low 40% off on him, and potentially get a poison. Because that 30% chance to poison came through a lot last week, so it would only make sense for me to go for that again. And if it does happen, then he basically only has one turn left on the field to do anything, and I could play around that appropriately. Especially if, like, he has one turn left, he's either going to go for some way to recover himself, which he's Assault Vest, so he has minimal ways to do that, or he's going to go for another Psycho Cut, which would be very annoying, especially at +2. I'm pretty sure he would have been able to kill me, but regardless, it would have put him in a very bad spot. So switching was my best play, though. And he went for the superpower, predicting that, which was smart. Especially because, my best switch-in for Psycho Cut is obviously Absol, who would have just dropped to the superpower immediately. So my goal with Volcanion was to burn this thing. I'm going to fire off the Will-O-Wisps. He's going to go into Toxapex, and we're going to miss. Which is annoying, but not the biggest deal in the world. So I'm going to go into Amoonguss on this thing because it can't really do much to me. Ice Beams again, but it literally does nothing. And I'm going to Sport. So that's really going to be huge for us, because having that thing asleep is going to be great. He goes into the Manectric here, as I am going to go out into Sylveon. I can't be poisoned by the Toxic Spike because I am paralyzed, and he's going to Mega Evolve here. And he goes for Sub. Now, this play, and there's no, maybe it was a misclick or something, I don't know, but I honestly do not understand this play. Subbing directly in front of Sylveon, a Pokemon that has already revealed to have Hyper Voice, that with the damage done to yourself by the substitute, I'm pretty sure Hyper Voice killed from that range. I could be completely wrong, but I'm very sure that the Hyper Voice had a chance to kill. So that was a very, very big risk for no real reason. I guess hoping for a full para. But, yeah, if I had clicked Hyper Voice here, Manectric just drops because he subbed. So that was an extremely risky play. It kind of paid off, though, because I did just click Wish. I was thinking maybe he would go for a like a Volt Switch or something here. So I'm going to pass the Wish off into Amoonguss, thinking he would go for like a Thunderbolt or something. But this also allows us to absorb the Toxic Spike, which is nice. I go for the Sludge Bomb, as he has the Lurantis in. He's going to go Toxapex and just chew that up. I'm going to take this opportunity to go into my Absol and try to mess people up a little bit. I'm going to click Knock Off here. Just try to hit something as hard as I physically can. So he's going to go into his best switch in for that, being the Mega Manectric. It's still going to take 37%. It's actually in range of Sucker Punch at that point, so I kind of figured he would go for another substitute, which would be his best play, honestly. So I'm just going to go hard Amoonguss. There's no reason not to. And he's going to go straight for the Overheat from behind the sub. I knew I could live one, so I wasn't too worried about it, and I go for the Sludge Bomb. Crit didn't matter. Sludge Bomb always broke his sub. So I'm going to switch out, trying to get some regenerative recovery on Amoonguss, as he goes out into his Crocodile, which is a very good play, because it is scary for me. I go into Licky Licky immediately, because this thing is designed, being physically bulky and stuff, to deal with Crocodile's Earthquakes as well, and we chew that up nicely. We go for a knockoff to try to get rid of its Scarf, potentially, and we do actually end up getting rid of the Black Sludge on the Toxapex. I set up the Wish, as he's, again, going to go for Ice Beam, This man is literally trying to tell me in every way, shape, or form, you are not allowed to have Zygarde on this field. So instead of putting Zygarde on the field, I'm going to put Sylveon on the field and give it a wish. So Sylveon is now back to a large amount of HP, and I'm now going to go into Volcanion to try to burn this thing once again as he goes for a Leaf Blade. So another Leaf Blade would kill me, but if we land the burn, then it won't. So now we get the Will-O-Wisp off, and he again goes to Toxapex to absorb this. Not a huge deal for me, because now he has the Black Sludge gone, so that chip damage will be nice. I'm going to go into Amoonguss as he decides to go out into the Lurantis. I am out of range of anything he wants to go for now. So he decides to go for the Superpower to set up, and I go for the Sludge Bomb, and look at that, we get the poison. Look at that, which, very unfortunate for him, very, very fortunate for me, because now this thing has one turn left on the planet. So my thought process here was I'm going to go Volcanion, because if he decides to go Superpower, right, if he decides to go Psycho Cut, pretty sure he kills us, right, not too worried about that. I was pretty much sacking it off. If he goes for Leaf Blade, it kills us, which I don't think he would do against Amoonguss. If he goes for Superpower, he kills us. No matter what, he dies. He goes for Leech Life. Excuse me. Which, not surprised that he has that. I think that would have, again, was kind of almost like predicting the Absol to come in, predicting a Psycho Cut. And to get some HP back so he could live the poison for another turn or so. But unfortunately, he hits Volcanion with that, and does not get enough back, and the poison is going to take him out. So Amoonguss picks up a kill there, which is always great, because Amoonguss is amazing. So he's going to go into Crocodile here, and Crocodile, scary. Because it's definitely Scarfed, it's definitely Moxie. He goes for the close combat, and as I switch into Licky Licky, so I had a feeling he had some kind of fighting coverage. I forgot that he got close combat going into the game, but I knew that, like, any fighting coverage he did have, I was maybe that was like Superpower I think he used to have or something like that. I knew Licky Licky could take anything from the range he was at, so I wasn't super worried about it. So went straight into Licky Licky to tank that, which I do. And now that I know he's locked into close combat, I have a free switch in to Sylveon, as he isn't going to switch into Minior. Now, I did this calc, I actually did it live the last time I was recording this, but I had to scrap that recording because I accidentally showed my team for my Week 3 game, at least part of it. Not like any details on it, but like 2 of the mons that I'm bringing. I accidentally showed that on screen, and I'm lazy, and I didn't feel like editing, so I just decided to re-record. So I did the calc, though. No matter what, Hyper Voice KO'd this thing. The best chance if he was the set that Smogon recommends, which being Naughty Nature, he guaranteed dies. If he's Adamant Nature, or something along those lines, Adamant or Jolly, whichever one, he, I believe, has like a 50-50 shot of living here. It does like 57 to 63%, like right on the dot, like a 50% chance. So my opinion here, he should just go for 2 Acrobatics, because go for that chance, potentially get a Paraturn on Sylveon, and you're pretty good to go, right? You know, it makes sense. Because if Sylveon got parried at all, then the Acrobatics, then this thing would be able to 1v1 it perfectly. So, like, if he lives 1 Hyper Voice and I get parried at any point, he can 1v1 this thing with the Minior. So that to me made sense as a way of going about it. He decides, though, he's just going to go ahead for the Shell Smash. Again, like, if I had gotten parried here, he had to kind of bank on that. If I got parried here, he pretty much swept my team. There's nothing on my team that could really do anything about it. I mean, Sucker Punch on Absol is pretty much the only thing that would have been able to save me there, so Excuse me. So, unfortunately, that's the case we're living in. Now, he goes into the Manectric here, goes for the Thunderbolt, does a decent chunk, again, showing that he could have just KO'd this thing earlier, instead of subbing in front of it, so, which makes sense, which is, I'd love to know what the thought process was in that play. Banking on the para, maybe, or something like that. I don't know. But, I set the wish up, and I go for Hyper Voice this turn. Now, remember when I said that the paralysis is going to come into play at some point? This is where it does. I clicked Hyper Voice as he switched into his Crocodile. So my mindset was, I click Hyper Voice, right? It kills Manectric. Period. Every time. It kills Crocodile from full, no matter what. And it hits Toxapex for a little bit of chip. I can sub in its fucking face, as I tend to do. And then I can proceed to spam Psyshocks and fuck its day up. Unfortunately, however, I do indeed get fully parried here. So the Crook comes in for free. So that's unfortunate, as it is. Right? So I'm going to go for Hyper Voice again because I want this thing to die. As he goes for Earthquake. Big fucking damage on my Sylveon. Do not like that. Do not like that much damage on my Sylveon. I get parried again. So now, I'm in like a really bad situation where I'm losing a lot of HP on Sylveon really fast. And if I get parried a third time in a row, Crook can sweep me. Potentially. I think Amoonguss had a chance to, like, live 2 Earthquakes from Scarf Crook. But, like, I didn't want to have to bank on that. And that would have been really, really unfortunate and very scary. Because if he crit even one of those Earthquakes, he just sweeps me. Straight up. So, that's unfortunate. So, he goes for a third one. Gets a max roll. He goes from min roll to max roll, it seems. Because he went from 46% to 51%. That really sucked. But I am able to get the Hyper Voice off here, and the Crook does go down. So thank God finally we hit that thing. But, unfortunately, Sylveon is indeed as down and out as it can get. The poor thing is just hanging on by a thread. So I'm just going to sack it off to the Manectric. I wouldn't have had to do that if I had been able to kill the Crocodile immediately. However, that was indeed not the case. Sylveon actually could have just straight up won the game at that point if I had been able to get the Hyper Voice off initially when the Crook came in. Sylveon could have just won the game by itself, which is very unfortunate that it couldn't, but 'tis what it is. So I go into Amoonguss and then I double out into the Volcanion to bait the Overheat. So that does indeed work. So he's down at -2. I'm going to go into Licky Licky here, knowing that I can take any one hit. As he's going to Volt Switch out into the Toxapex, which works out great for me because Toxapex cannot touch Licky Licky. Licky Licky was designed to eat a hit from a +1 Volcarona. So I can eat a hit from a non-+1 Toxapex all day, every day. So I set up a Wish, and then go for a Rock Slide to kind of get some chip damage off on this thing. It's going to miss, unfortunately, but he's just going to keep clicking Ice Beam as I'm going to get the Wish back. And it is at this point that Pantros forfeits. He had to go eat, which is unfortunate that the match had to end this way, but completely understandable. I don't think either of us intended on this match going this long, but unfortunately the way the game panned out, I had to play very defensively to try to hold any form of advantage, and still almost lost it because Crocodile got lucky in front of Sylveon twice. And if it got lucky 3 times, I would have lost the game. So, yeah. Pokemon's fun. If that thing had been able to kill my Sylveon, though, I think I would have ended up going straight off into a Mungus and just click Spore, because that was the only thing I could think to safely do. It's the only thing I could think to do that would be actually safe. Spore probably into... I think I had Clear Smog this week. I don't remember. Excuse me. But, to mitigate the Moxie boost, that probably would have been my play. As for, do I think the... and the pair was obviously huge, and it cost me Sylveon, which was unfortunate because Sylveon could beat Manectric and a burned non-Black Sludge Toxapex 1v1 pretty easily. Between Sub and Wish and Psyshock, I can pretty much just abuse the Toxapex for as long as I wanted to and not really have to care. And since I was paralyzed, it couldn't like poison me or anything or freeze me with the Ice Beam, so it was pretty safe against that thing, all things considered. So, and even if it had a poison move, I was Kebia Berry, if I remember correctly, so that thing wasn't a threat to me at all. And Manectric would need a crit to put me to do over half to me, so Hyper Voice would just be able to pick that thing off pretty easily. So kind of lost the chance at a 6-0 there by Sylveon getting paralyzed, but that is unfortunate. Unfortunately, it's the game we play. As for the remainder of the match, obviously this thing wasn't intending on letting me in with Zygarde. My goal was to kind of try to either stall it out of Ice Beams or and just kind of like spam Wish, send wishes around to my team as best as I could. If anything, I might have ended up losing Volcanion at some point, but that's worst case scenario. But eventually, if Manectric came in at all in front of Licky Licky and I had a Wish up, I can go straight into Zygarde and give it the Wish without thinking, because Zygarde walls his Manectric set completely, so I would have been able to pass the Wish to it pretty easily and then maybe get a Dragon Dance up. I don't know. I think, if anything, I might have lost one more differential point if the match had continued, but I do believe at this point the match was pretty much locked up. So it's unfortunate that it ended up being that way, but 'tis what it is. We do end up getting a 5-0 here because of how forfeits work in the BTA. And Licky Licky, being the last one out, is going to get the final 2 kills, so that's pretty cool for Licky Licky. So we are now 2-0 with a +11 differential, which is huge. We're like one of the top teams in the league right now. I think we're tied for first place. I don't know if anyone got 2 6-0s, to be honest. I think we're tied with Nuke and the Boston Celebies right now, I think. I don't remember off the top of my head. But he's been doing it phenomenally well. Next week, though, we are taking on Tyler and the Twin Leaf Town Turtwigs, which is a mouthful. But he has been doing exceptionally well in Draft League in recent weeks. He has improved tremendously from the first time I played him here to now. So I am extremely looking forward to what he is going to bring against us next week, especially because his team is kind of gross. It's not going to be a lot of fun. So we'll see how that goes. Until next time, guys, I'm going to get out of here. I'm PokePrimer, signing off. Peace.